Hey everyone, today I'd like to talk about the greatest political scandal in American history. And no, I'm not talking about Watergate or some missing emails or even January 6th. I'm talking about a coordinated operation, a quiet coup engineered by President Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and high level operatives inside the FBI and DOJ, and broadcast to you by a propaganda machine pretending to be journalism. This is Obamagate. So in 2016, Hillary Clinton, she was drowning. Her private email server scandal exploded. 33,000 emails deleted, hard drive BleachBitted, Blackberries smashed with hammers. She'd been caught red-handed, violating national security protocol. But the system bent over backwards to protect her. So instead, she flipped the narrative. Her team hired Fusion GPS, who brought in Christopher Steele, a worthless British spy with secondhand Kremlin gossip and zero verified intel. So Russia had dirt on Hillary, and instead of exposing her, they watched as her campaign came crawling to them, begging for any whispers of scandal on Trump. And when they couldn't find any, they made it up. The Steele Dossier wasn't intelligence, it was fiction. A steaming pile of, we'll say, slander dressed up with spy jargon. And yet this fabricated document became the cornerstone of a FISA warrant that allowed our federal government to spy on Trump's campaign. And that wasn't the worst part, because while Obama was still in office, in the final days of his administration, he sat with Biden, Comey, Rice, and Yates. They knew this dossier was crap. They knew Flynn wasn't a Russian agent, but they had to protect the narrative, the one designed to distract from Hillary's crimes and delegitimize Trump before he even raised his right hand. So they made Michael Flynn the first casualty. Now, Michael Flynn, 33 years of military service, decorated general, former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency. His crime? Speaking to the Russian ambassador as the incoming national security advisor. The FBI interviewed him. The agents said he didn't lie, but the goal wasn't truth. The goal was a takedown. Comey's team circled back with a chilling note. What's our objective? To get him to admit guilt or get him fired? So they set a trap. They leaked classified intel to the press. They drained his bank account. They threatened to destroy his son. They forced a guilty plea. Not because he was guilty, but because they wanted him gone. That's not justice, that's persecution. That, my friends, is tyranny in a suit and tie. And meanwhile, the media, CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, didn't just report the story, they helped build it. They pushed leaks they knew were unverified. They repeated the same talking points from same anonymous sources. They aired bombshell after bombshell, and every one of them fizzled out because they were built on lies. And for 3 years, America lived under a hoax. And when Mueller couldn't prove collusion, and when the FISA court rebuked the FBI, when internal texts from Strauss and Page exposed political bias, they didn't apologize, they didn't retract, they just moved on to the next smear. But now the reckoning might finally be here, because Kash Patel is digging. He says Obama-era documents exist, classified files that prove this wasn't sloppy, it was intentional. This was a multi-agency campaign to discredit a presidential candidate, cripple a presidency, and protect the Clinton machine. What's in those documents? Well, we don't know yet. But we know what we're looking for: unmasking requests, internal DOJ chatter, CIA, FBI coordination, and maybe even foreign intel warnings that said this Steele dossier is bogus. They buried the truth, but now Patel's bringing it back up. And to all the leftist lemmings still parroting media headlines, still shouting, Trump's a convicted felon, still yelling, Trump is a rapist, still screaming, Trump is a traitor. Let me break it down for you. Those charges, lawfare, weaponized by political operatives with no concern for due process. That civil trial, based on decades-old accusations with no evidence and no date, manufactured scandal for the evening news. And as for treason, the only collusion was between Hillary Clinton's team and foreign spies feeding lies to our FBI. Trump told the truth. You just didn't want to hear it. The deep state is real. The media is corrupt. And good people were destroyed to protect the lie. Here's the part that stings the most. Some of you ended lifelong friendships over this. You couldn't handle what Trump was saying, not because it was false, but because you knew it might be true, and that was too much to bear. You called us crazy. You called us cultists. You blocked, unfriended, deleted, canceled. And that's your right. But here's the thing. I don't need an apology. I'm not asking for one. But what I am saying is this. If you're finally ready to listen, if you're ready to stop reciting headlines and start digging into facts, if you're ready to admit that maybe, just maybe, the people you trusted weren't telling you the whole story, then we can talk. No ego, no gloating, just the truth. Raw, uncomfortable, overdue, but still the truth. Because the door's not locked, it's never been. But the conversation only works when both sides are finally ready to face what really happened. So whenever you are, I'll be here, and so will the facts. But we can disagree, but we can't afford to lie to ourselves. I know this episode might rattle some cages. Good. It's time we stop whispering about what's obvious and start talking about what matters. So tell me what you think. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, disagree if you want, but bring facts, not feelings. And if you're tired of media narratives and ready for unfiltered truth, hit like and subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it. We're just getting started. And this is Pardon the Curiosity. And this is a conversation they don't want you to have.